Storytelling is as old as time and fire, and our next guest sure can fire up a good tale or two, or many more. Joining me now is award-winning storyteller Bill Lepp. Good morning, Bill.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
So how does one become a professional storyteller? Did you just always have the knack, always have the craft, just never was quiet as a kid?
I grew up in a family where everybody lied, but it was sort of a benevolent lying. I mean, it was always up to the listener to decide what was true. That is just fair game. You could say what you want to say. And so from an early age, I learned exaggeration. And then we have this liars contest here in West Virginia, which is a storytelling, tall tale telling contest. I started doing that back in about 1990, I guess. And then it just kind of snowballed into a full-time professional career.
So how does a liars contest work? Do you just come up with the whoppers, or are there guidelines?
You have a time limit, which is somewhere between 5 and 7 minutes. It's kind of subjective. And yeah, it's just whoever tells the tall tale that gets the best reaction from the audience is usually what wins. Now, one of my favorite lies from the Liars Contest, it wasn't mine and it didn't win, but this guy stood up and he said, I have 3 sons and 3 flashlights and they all work.
Okay.
So, that's a very short example of a lie.
That's a good example. Talk to me about Talk of the Town. It's going to be kind of different this year.
Yeah, I'm excited to do it, as always. I love Storytelling Arts of Indiana. But yeah, we're going to do a Zoom a program, which I guess we're all getting used to.
Right.
And so I'm going to talk to the sponsors, just kind of a meet and greet with the sponsors on the via Zoom, and then I'm going to tell some stories, and then I think we're going to have sort of a question and answer period. I'm not sure if that's exactly the format, but I think that's something like it. So we're going to see what it's like.
Well, at least with a Zoom, you can see some faces. I mean, reaction is probably a key element to the direction your story or lie is going to go, right?
Yeah, it has a lot to do with seeing and hearing the audience, and I've been experimenting with some different Zoom styles. I have a buddy that's done a lot with this, and he likes to hear. He'll let certain audience members turn on their microphones or their speakers, whatever, so that he can hear their reaction. But that actually throws my timing off, because it takes a second or two for the sound to get to them, and then a second or two for it to get back to me. So that lag kind of throws me off. So what I've figured out is that if I can just see a couple of members of the audience, I can watch them react, and that helps me know how well my story is going.
But you can still keep your pace that way, you know, not being interrupted.
Well, right, yeah, and the microphone doesn't shift. You know, on Zoom, sometimes the microphone will shift to whoever's making the loudest noise. And but my big problem that I've been having on Zoom is my stories are pretty fast-paced, and I do have certain pauses built in where when I get to jokes, I am getting totally out of breath when I tell on Zoom because I never pause, and so I'll get about 4 minutes into a story, and I won't be able to breathe for the next 6 minutes.
What else makes a good story? You've talked about reaction. You talked about timing. Breathing is important too. But do these come full formed in your head? Do you write them down? How's it work?
I usually write them down. It can take me up to 6 months to write a story, up to a year, I guess, and then another year of telling it out loud before it really becomes solid orally. But I think what makes a good story is, in some way, you have to connect with the audience. You have to find some kind of common ground, some kind of experience that you and the audience can agree on, so that, you know, even though I'm talking about some kind of far-fetched, crazy thing, we all have sort of a similar experience that we're talking about.
Would you consider what you do not just storytelling, but sort of long-form comedy?
Yeah, I do. You know, what Bob Newhart used to do with his monologues, and I know we're not supposed to talk about Bill Cosby anymore, but he was billed a comedian, but Bill Cosby was very much a storyteller. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, people ask me if I'm a comedian, and I say, do you think I'm funny? And they say, yes. And I say, well, there you go.
Well, there you go. There's your answer.
But I don't bill myself certainly not as a stand-up, because it is a different format. Mine's like, you know, a 20-minute narrative with I think, great jokes interspersed, whereas a stand-up comedian is a joke every 8 seconds or whatever their
set up punchline, set up punchline. So talk to me about Talk of the Town. When is this happening?
This is happening. Now you're catching me off guard here. Is it Friday night? Is this a quiz?
Let me double check. Oh, it's Saturday. Oh, it's Saturday. Yep, Saturday at 7 o'clock.
Okay, Saturday at 7 o'clock. Yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern time. And yeah, and I'm going to be in my living room, and you guys are going to be in your living rooms, and we're all going to have a good time.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I come from a long line of people that, well, they tell stories. I don't know if they're storytellers, but maybe we can pick up some pointers along the way.
Right.
Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. All right.
No problem.
LepStorytelling.com. We'll put the link on IndieStyle.tv. Saturday, 7 o'clock Eastern time.